Y'all like the setup? It's kind of just my room. The only difference is the camera setup, which I'm not gonna go into detail about because it's really bad. But yeah, I'd say we're looking pretty good. You guys ever been to a stadium before? Sorry, I don't know how to do intros. Stadiums are a super interesting concept. It's just this gigantic modern day coliseum that houses almost like 80,000 people, and they're all there to watch one specific thing that they bought a ticket for. And you never know, it could be a bunch of people going to watch a Mavericks game, or it could be like 4 people going to see a Joshua Bassett concert. You really never know, which is such an interesting thing, and actually the topic of this video. We're going to talk about stadium tours in this video, but specifically stadium tours that don't sell very many tickets. I feel like a lot of people, or a lot of artists, are getting into the habit of either having a popular stage of their career, or just like getting to quote unquote peak of their popularity and deciding that this is their moment, that they need to go around the world and perform in the biggest stadiums that man has ever created. And sometimes those people are Joshua Bassett and Wallows. We're going to be covering 3 specific artists in this video that have chosen stadiums for their world tours, or their North American tours. And we're going to see where they went wrong, whether it was just their music at the time, if it wasn't great, their marketing, or just like how it was all presented. And then at the end, we're going to see what they should do moving forward. This topic has already been covered on YouTube before. I've seen it a few times, mainly by a YouTuber named Haji, who's really good. You should go watch his video about it. But the difference I want to make in this video is I want to look at those examples specifically, instead of doing like an overview of why stadium tours are declining. And I want to pinpoint exactly where they, like, as an individual, went wrong, or their team, or whatever. So that is the plan for today. This is my very first video. My name's Henry. I really like music, and that's about it. I really like music. I have been wanting some sort of like an output for me to talk about music for a really long time, and this is kind of what that's going to be. So if you enjoy what you're about to watch, or you enjoy what you've been watching so far, like and subscribe, please. Okay, enough e-begging, let's get on with the video. I want to start with probably the most severe of the cases in this video, and that is Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez is an artist that doesn't necessarily need an introduction, but is at a state right now where I feel like most people my age don't really know what she's accomplished. Jennifer Lopez is one of the most critically acclaimed artists of all time, one of the most critically acclaimed female artists of all time, has amassed millions, if not billions of dollars across movies, music, tons and tons and tons of media. One of the most popular names of the late 2000s, early 2010s. You couldn't go on the radio and not hear a Jennifer Lopez song in that era to save your life. That's how popular she was. So it would kind of be a no-brainer to someone who is hearing about Jennifer Lopez, or understands how big of a career she's had, that she would go on a stadium tour. I would agree with you. But unfortunately, I know what her career has done recently, and I know why that probably wasn't a good idea for her. So Jennifer Lopez announced her This Is Me Now tour, which coincided with her album of the same name, and that album was her first solo album to release in 10 years. Whoops. That was her first solo album to release in 10 years. That's a long time not to release any music. It's very hard to stay relevant as an artist going on that long of a hiatus. Not many people come out of it successfully, and Jennifer Lopez kind of did. Her album was received with kind of lukewarm reviews. I haven't listened to it because I'm not like the biggest Jennifer Lopez fan, but from what I've heard, it was just kind of It was whatever. It wasn't anything special. So after a 10-year-long hiatus and after this album released, J-Lo decided she was going to go on another stadium tour to go all over the world performing her new music. And it didn't sell very well. Her ticket sales were absolute buns, to the point where she ended up renaming the tour to the This Is Me Now Greatest Hits Tour to kind of like persuade some legacy fans to get into the stadium and listen to her old music. I don't know if she ever like changed the set list, even if they had even gotten that far. I don't know if they had changed the set list to include more of her old songs and less of her new songs, but she renamed the tour and also canceled 7 cities from the original list, the original tour dates. And then what did she do? She canceled the whole tour. The ticket sales were that bad, and artists with that much critical acclaim and that much everything canceled a stadium tour. Now, an important thing to mention, J-Lo did not say specifically that the ticket sales were what caused her to cancel the tour. She cited that she her statement, I think I have it written down here. Her statement said that she was heartbroken and that she needed this time to spend with her family. Now, I don't know what's been going on for the past 10 years. I'm not Jennifer Lopez, but have you not been spending the past 10 years with your family? Is that not what's been going on? How much more time do you need? A lot of people have also accredited this to the Ben Affleck and J-Lo drama that's happening right now with their divorce. Not really my place to get into, but I'm sure that was a factor. This is a screenshot of a tweet that showed her ticket sales. And as you can see, not the greatest ticket sales of all time. All those blue spots are open seats that you could readily purchase at I think it was $45, $50. Not doing great. I also want to point out this really quick. This video has been circulating all over social media. I saw it on TikTok originally, and it was claiming that this was like one of the stops she played at for the This Is Me Now tour, and like, look at how there's no people, and it was actually going to be something I included in this video as as further evidence that this tour was not very successful. And it was something I'd also seen a lot of other people cover and say that was from her This Is Me Now tour. But it was fake. It wasn't fake, but it wasn't actually from that tour. This video is from a VIP rehearsal, and I think Milan. I could have gotten that wrong. In my notes, I just wrote down that it was from a VIP rehearsal, but it was from a VIP rehearsal from 2012. So not only was it not from this tour, that was from like 12 years ago. So I just thought it was really interesting that people had been showing this video and claiming it was from her This Is Me Now tour. But hey, we only have real news on this channel. So why, at this point in Jennifer Lopez's career, with all these accolades and achievements, why is she struggling to sell out these stadiums? And I think it's a few reasons. One, her album was not received very well. I mentioned earlier that it was kind of lukewarm reviews. And a lot of Jennifer Lopez fans probably only know her from like a few of her hit songs, a few of her most popular songs. So they're not going to really listen to her new album at all. And even if they do, it might not be their thing. So whenever she announced the This Is Me Now tour, people saw it and probably just didn't want to spend $50 going to see an artist that they only knew a few songs from and didn't even know if she was going to perform them because of how the tour was marketed as. And that's one of the reasons why she changed it, is so that those kind of fans would see that she was going to perform those old songs and and buy a ticket. It didn't work, but it was a good try. Another reason why I think this tour didn't do so well is because of that 10-year gap in between when she released music. Now, like I said, because of her stature and because of her accomplishments, it's obviously very easy to kind of come back into making music whenever you already have all these fans. But it doesn't mean it's going to be immediate. She waited 10 years for this album and seemingly expected that everyone was going to welcome her back with open arms, buy up all her tickets, that she was going to perform these sold-out venues, and it just didn't happen. And like I said earlier, she cited personal reasons for this tour not doing well, and that could be very true. I'm sure with all of the messy stuff happening in her personal life right now, that it's probably not very fun. But I'm sure the ticket sales probably would have helped a little bit, just a little bit. So what do I think? What do I think J-Lo should do moving forward? To be honest, not much. I think at this point in J-Lo's career, she's already done so much and achieved so many things. Why don't we think about retirement? This is something that a lot of these old artists never do, is retire. An example that I want to use is Barry Manilow, which is my mom's favorite artist. And this dude has been on 40 different farewell tours. These people just hate retiring. And I think at this point in her career, she's been super successful in the film industry, and I don't think that it's a bad idea to just start pursuing that more than music. But who knows? Who am I to judge? If she wants to go on another tour, go for it. But just don't do any more stadiums for a little bit. Just a little bit. Do some private parties. Why not? All right, we're gonna talk about someone who's in a little bit more of the limelight. No pun intended. Recently, Charli XCX. Charli XCX is someone who has been so insanely popular recently, which is super awesome to see. Unless you've been living under a rock recently, I'm sure you've seen this album cover before, or some variation of it, and maybe even you've heard the album. That would be pretty cool for me because I don't have to explain it for you, but I'm going to anyways. Brat has been so insanely popular since its release, which is something that personally I didn't expect. I've been a fan of Charli XCX for a while now. I'm not gonna say I've been a fan of her since day one, because that's not true. I have a few friends that have been listening to her since around the Pop 2 era. I could be getting that wrong, and they got me into Charli around last year. So I've been listening to her for a little bit, but whenever she started rolling out this album, I did not expect it to be this big at all. And now you can't go on Reels without scrolling past 4 different Brat TikToks from a bunch of different random coffee shops across the world making Brat matchas. Anyways, the point is, Brat is super popular right now, and Charli saw this opportunity and collabed with another artist by the name of Troye Sivan to start the Sweat Tour, which is their world tour that, you guessed it, will be happening in stadiums. Now, from an outside perspective, it's a little bit easier to kind of think why Charli would choose stadiums for this tour. I mean, Brat is one of the most popular, if not the most popular album right now, and it's doing so insanely well. Why not, especially combined with Troye Sivan, why not sell out these stadiums? And to her credit, she actually has sold out a few of her shows. She sold out her New York, her Boston, her Chicago, and her San Francisco, which are all probably the most consolidated areas of Charli XCX fans, if you know what I mean. But the rest of her venues are not doing too hot. This is a screenshot that I took on August 19th of the Ticketmaster page for the Phoenix venue. And as you can see, it's pretty filled up, but you can still easily get any of these blue spots right here. Those are open tickets, and there's still floor tickets available. You can still very easily get a ticket to that show. This is also the Portland show that I'm showing right now. Again, lots of available blue seats. Floor is still available. there's a lot of tickets left over. So, why is this? Why at this kind of peak for Charli is she not selling out all these stadiums? And to me, it's two reasons. The first one is Brat, to me, is not a stadium album. And I know that this isn't the Brat tour. This isn't like going to be marketed as a Brat tour. But because of how this album is doing, a lot of Charli's set in this tour is probably going to be Brat. And the problem with that is Brat is not an album that people want to experience sitting down or kind of confined in a seat. If you've ever been to a concert inside of a stadium and you haven't been floor, it's not the greatest experience. You're basically just in this line or in this row of seats. There's not very much space in front of you, so if you want, and people are most likely going to be standing the entire time, so you have to stand up to even see the show, and then there's just not a lot of room to like move around or jump or dance, and you're very limited on the space that you're given. And Charli has made it very clear that this album is very much a club album. It's lots of synths, lots of heavy beats, lots of jumping, dancing, all that kind of stuff. So when you are kind of forced to buy a ticket far away from the stage, not a lot of space to experience this album, it does not sound very appealing. You'll see a bunch of videos on TikTok of Charli performing Brat in venues that are like all general admission, they're smaller, and people are going insane. It's such a positive experience for everybody because they have that room to kind of jump and move around, and it's just an overall better vibe for the concert. And that's one of the reasons why I think this tour is suffering so much, because of that kind of experience. The second reason I think is that Charli is just not at a point where she can sell out these gigantic venues consistently. Like I said, she sold out a few of her shows, but consistently I don't think she's able to sell these things out. Now, she's definitely still selling out more tickets than she would if she performed at smaller venues. But the issue here isn't how much ticket sales she's amassing. The problem here is the illusion of demand. And what I mean by that is if you compare videos of Charli performing Brat at these smaller venues compared to whenever she starts a tour, if you look at what she's doing in the stadium, it's going to seem like not a lot of people care because of all those empty seats. Now, like I said, there's still going to be more people than there would be at those smaller venues, but it's going to look like they don't care. A really great example of this, I think, is Baby Keem. Now, Baby Keem, let me do some fact checking. I love doing research in the middle of videos. It's so awesome. Baby Keem did his Melodic Blue tour so insanely well, and what I mean by that is he was obviously at a point in his career where he could probably sell similar numbers to Charli, if not more, but Keem understood the illusion of demand. And to me, he understood that while you could probably sell more tickets in a bigger venue, it's going to look a lot more like people care about your concerts and people want to be where you're performing music if you sell out these small venues. And it wasn't tiny venues that he sold out. I remember when he came to Dallas, I believe he performed in Southside Ballroom. If I'm wrong, I'll bully myself in post. But I believe he performed at Southside Ballroom. And that venue is big, but it's not insanely big. It's all general admission. I believe there's some balcony seats, but it's not a huge venue. And if you watch videos of that tour, it's insane how people are reacting to this music. That's why I think the illusion of demand is super important whenever you're doing stadium tours or just tours in general. I think Charli should probably follow suit and scale down. Obviously, it's a little too late for that, but I think if this Sweat tour was happening all over again, if it was still being planned out, I think they should have chosen some smaller venues. So what should Charli do now? Like I said, not much you can do with the tour this close. It's starting in October or September. I can't really remember, but there's not much you can do. I think it's still going to be great. I think if you want to pay $300 to see to be in that stadium in the floor seats or the floor area. You can have a great time in there, but I think that it's not going to be extremely enjoyable if you have a seat for that concert. But anyways, moving on. This next one is kind of a conglomerate of people. I am pointing out one specific tour, but I do just kind of want to throw some other people under this umbrella of artists that just like don't really seem like they're ready for stadium tours. And that is Porter Robinson. I want to make it very clear. I'm not a Porter Robinson hater. And I'm not a hater of any of the artists I'm mentioning in this video. I just realized I didn't do that. I am not saying that I dislike any of these people's music. I am a big fan of Charlie. I'm a fan of Porter Robinson. I don't listen to him that much. But I'm not hating on anybody that I talk about in this video. I'm just analyzing. I'm just telling you what I see. Porter Robinson is a very interesting case. He kind of falls in this umbrella of people that, at least to me, don't feel like they need to be in these stadiums. Yet. I'm not hating, I promise. Now, Porter Robinson has had a stacked career, don't get me wrong. His album Worlds was peaked at #1 on Billboard's dance and electronic charts, and his album Nurture debuted at #1 on that chart. He has had Grammy-nominated stuff. He helped, if you know the song Clarity by Zedd, he helped with that song. So he's had by no means a stinker of a career. Now, he announced his Smile tour for his album of the same name with special guest Eric DOA in North America. And all of the dates that he released were stadium dates. Now, this is very interesting to me. I want to take this time to kind of talk about some costs that people don't realize about stadium tour. This is another thing that I think Haji did really well in his video. Whenever you're touring and you pick these stadiums as your dates, you're kind of just given the empty stadium. They don't keep any of the equipment that you're going to need for your concerts in-house. You have to either purchase or rent all of your lights, all of your stage equipment. You have to hire your sound guys. You have to hire your audio engineers. And you also have to have enough money to fund or pay all of the employees of the stadium, because there's a lot of employees. So along with transporting all of that equipment and yourself, it all adds up in this big pool of costs, which makes not selling enough tickets for these stadiums even more daunting and even more scary. So it's something that people don't really think about whenever they see I know to me it's easy to think that they just have all this equipment on standby or like in a warehouse or something, but all that equipment is brought in by the artist. So if you only sell out half the stadium and you're still having to bring in all of this equipment, it's not necessarily the greatest thing for your wallet. I'm going to show you the same dates that I showed of the Charlie and Troy tour real quick. This is the Phoenix Arena. Now, this is a lot less packed than the Charlie one was. Just like the Charlie tickets, all those blue seats are open seats that you can buy for a regular price. Ooh. And this is the Portland show. The Portland show is doing a lot better than the Phoenix one. But still, there's a lot of stuff open. And so that begs the question, why do artists like this choose stadiums for their tours? And I mentioned I was going to put some other people in this umbrella, and I mentioned them at the start of the video. Joshua Bassett and Wallows have also fallen into this, not necessarily a trap, but they've chosen stadiums for all of their tours. And why do we think that this is happening? I think it's very easy to look at the state of your career or just how popular you are at the present moment and shoot for the stars. Be super ambitious and go for these stadiums. I know Joshua Bassett has had a decent career. I know Wallace has had a good career. I know Porter, like I said, has had a great career. But the problem is you have to have at least like 3/4 of the amount of people that stadium can hold go to that concert for it to be like even remotely successful. And I don't think these people have those kind of fans or that kind of fan base. I also think that to most of these artists, they're trying to accommodate as many fans as they can. They're not really going for that sense of demand like Baby Keem was going for. So I do think that selling out a stadium is not necessarily their end goal. They're just trying to get as many people in there as they can because they feel that they're at a point in their career where they need to do that. And I can respect that. I think that's fair. And even though people are going to dunk on those people for not selling out the stadium, there's still a lot of people in there. And it makes it better for a consumer or for the fan, because even though, like I said, the stadium may not be the best experience or the best way to experience the music that is being played, you can still get in there for a reasonable price. And you can still, if you're a real fan, you can still see the concert. So I think that's pretty cool. Like I said, I'm not hating. I would never hate. They're doing what they can. But yeah, that's gonna do it, I think, for this video. This is my first video ever, so I would really appreciate it if you guys showed any support you can. Leave a like, subscribe. That would be be awesome, especially for channels that are just starting out. Every subscriber makes a difference. And then also, if you want to comment what you liked about the video and any tips that you have for me, because like I said, I'm just starting out. I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know if the lighting looks funny. I don't know if my background looks weird. So please, let me know. Let me know what I can do differently. I'm gonna try to do these as often as I can. Hopefully once a week. So yeah, the real challenge will be editing all of this, but thank you guys for watching if you watched all the way through. Yeah, I'll see y'all later. Goodbye.